I just saw Mission Impossible Final Reckoning in IMAX, and for almost 3 hours I was either confused, thrilled, or having motion sickness, and to be honest, I had a good time. The saga that started 3 decades ago has finally reached its dramatic conclusion with its 8th installment, and after how good Dead Reckoning Part 1 was, with great pacing, killer stunts, and just the right amount of chaos, I had pretty high hopes going into this one. If I'm being honest though, Part 1 was probably better than this one, because look, I was confused as shit, and about halfway through the movie, it was just vibes for me, man. I was just enjoying it because it was just a constant MacGuffin chasing that had me sort of lose focus. But to be honest, I definitely laughed more than I thought I would, and it was definitely worth the IMAX ticket, so let's get into it. The movie follows Ethan Hunt as he races to stop a rogue sentient AI called the Entity from gaining control of the world's nukes and blowing up the world. To stop it, they need to recover a device called the Podkova, basically the AI's original source code, which is currently chilling at the bottom of a Russian submarine that was sunk in the previous film. After tracking down the location of the Sevastopol submarine, Ethan, Grace, Benji, Paris, and Degas pull up. Ethan decides to embark on a mission to retrieve the Podkova and dives all the way down without his lungs and brain and whatever else exploding from the pressure, and it was crazy. Not before we get the most lucky action sequence of the whole movie. So Ethan, obviously, he dives down to the Sevastopol. Dude, that is a tongue twister. He dives down to the Sevastopol, and once he's inside, you've got to do the standard, opening doors and whatnot, the water's flowing in. The thing is, he's got a suit, so he's alright. There's all these old missiles that are just sitting in the ship, and so they start tipping off the balance as the water comes in. And then the Sevastopol, it's leaning on the edge of a cliff, starts diving, tumbleweeding down. Ethan's in there. He's just barely completing his mission. He does, and then he's able to escape. So he secures the bag and loses consciousness as he floats to the icy surface of the ocean, but survives when the crew rescue him. After that, they discover the Entity's next move. It's planning to upload itself to a post-apocalyptic digital vault in South Africa, a place designed to store humanity's most important records. So the plan: use the Podkova to lure the Entity in and trap its consciousness in a 5D optical data drive that mimics the vault. The only catch is they've got 1/10 of a second to eject the drive. Lucky for them, Grace is a little thief. Complicating things is Gabriel, who wants control of the Entity for himself as a weapon, obviously. Wouldn't be a Doomsday movie without having someone thinking they can control the Doomsday weapon. Who still has replicas of the cruciform keys. And I'm going to be real, I'm still not 100% sure why we still care about these cruciform keys after Ethan had already secured the Podkova from the Sevastopol, which has the source code to the Entity. Oh my gosh, so many different words. But yeah, so I kind of was confused at that point, but I was just going along with the vibes. Now we get to the part that we all came for, which is Tom Cruise putting on a show, doing his crazy Daredevil Nitro Circus flippity-doo-dah stuff in the planes. Something no 60-year-old should be doing. Ethan ends up hijacking not one but 2 propeller planes midair while they're flipping and reversing through the mountain canyons of South Africa. And it all ends with one of the most satisfying villain deaths ever, bro. So, what did I think of Mission Impossible Final Reckoning? It was pretty captivating. Very decent popcorn movie. I enjoyed it. Was, like I said, pretty confused at times. Obviously, pretty standard. AI takes over the world. We have to stop it. Somebody's trying to control the weapon sort of narrative that we see in a lot of these sort of action movies nowadays. It makes sense because AI is taking over taking over the world. The acting performances were great. Tom Cruise really delivered, and you can't help but sit there in awe with his commitment to the action sequences, especially knowing it's all him doing the stunts. Hayley Atwell, for me, she was the standout. I really enjoyed how she could flip from fear to sneaky to upset to hopeful, and they all felt pretty natural to her character because a lot of things happen in this film. But on the other hand, there's a lot of exposition in this movie, like a lot, bro. And the way they deliver it, constantly cutting between conversations in different places at different times, and I was completely lost in the sauce, man. I didn't understand half of this MacGuffin talk, but I didn't really care. I was just having fun. So it's pretty standard narrative. I think that Dead Reckoning had a bit of a more complex narrative to sink your teeth into, and Final Reckoning just had to like tie up all the points from the first movie. But I think that Dead Reckoning did a lot of the legwork in terms of like endearing us to this story. Although it was certainly entertaining, that last 45 minutes of this movie, damn, I could feel this last 45 minutes sitting in this chair, and I thought that the movie was gonna end like 3 different times, because, you know, there's so many huge action sequences where it seems like, you know, the stakes are high and, you know, something crazy happens and you're like, oh, this is like the main action set piece of this movie. Then you're like, oh wait, there's another big action set piece. Oh, there's another. Which I think that's the best part of Mission Impossible. Like huge props to Tom Cruise. We all know Tom Cruise is the one doing the stunts, so like insane respect to him, because he put on a show in this movie. Tom Cruise, he really delivered, and his commitment to wowing the fans and his commitment to providing like an insane cinema experience to the audience, that is the thing that I think I appreciate about the Mission Impossible movies as a whole, and especially this movie. Oh, there was one sequence in this film where all the characters are literally communicating with like eyebrow movements between each other, and it was a cool little motif that they kept, you know, they sort of sprinkled throughout the film a couple of times, and I thought that was fun. But in this film, the exposition is, man, there is a lot of exposition, and the way they deliver it, it's so weird, because they'll have a conversation where they're delivering like what the plan is or whatever. Like they'll have these 2 people having a conversation, and then they'll cut to a different time and a different place, and 2 other people say the next word, and they're finishing each other's conversations, but they jump back and forth so many times, like 10 times in this one sequence of explaining the plan, that like I think that's where I got lost in the plan and understanding why the cruciform keys were still needed and why we need to go here, why we need to go here. But even though I didn't understand all that sort of MacGuffin exposition talk, I still enjoyed the movie. So was Mission Impossible Final Reckoning a satisfying conclusion to the beloved Mission Impossible franchise? I'd say so. It's a pretty stock standard spy thriller narrative, but I think the way that they get you is with, you know, the charming characters. There's great chemistry between, you know, the core crew in here, the amazing action sequences. They embellish the real environments with CGI, so everything feels real, and on that IMAX screen it's quite the experience. So I would give this a rating of like a 3.7 out of 5. Part 1, I wasn't making reviews back then, but part 1 probably would have got like a 4.3 or something. Like I really loved part 1. Part 2, a little bit less, but I still loved it. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know I ramble a lot. Thank you for sticking with me, for being patient. I'm gonna try and bust out some more reviews for you soon. I've got a Star Wars Andor video I'm working on, and a Love, Death and Robots video I'm working on right now, so they'll be out very soon. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, and give me a comment, bro. Let me know what you thought about this movie and what you want me to react to next. All right, peace.